internet friends, welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be doing my August and July wrap-up because I didn't film a July wrap-up. So super quick, sorry for my slight absence on YouTube. Basically, August was just kind of a weird month because right after the reading rush had ended, finals happened for grad school. What a nightmare, wow. And then right after that, all of my classes started because in grad school, apparently you only have a week off in between semesters if you take summer classes. But now I am settling into grad school and I'm feeling okay. However, needless to say, I didn't really read a ton during August. Also, it feels really weird to be recording without like legit nails. I ripped off all of my nails the other day so that I could learn the entire album of Taylor Swift's Lover on the guitar for Sad Girl Hours. If you did not know, Sad Girl Hours are the hours between 9 and 3 a.m. every single night when the moon is full or crescent, because sometimes it's not always full, actually. And they are like the reflective, melancholy hours for anyone. You don't have to be a girl. They're just called sad girl hours. They could be sad boy hours or sad person hours. They're just sad hours. And they're the hours when you reflect and you think about the deep, meaningful things in life, like, are we alone in the universe? What is a black hole? Will I ever meet Lana Del Rey? And during sad girl hours, I usually learn music on my guitar and pour my heart and soul out to fake loves of my life, really fictional characters that I've read in literature. But moving on to the reason you're here, which are the books. Sorry. Let's get started. Okay, so first of all, we will go over what I read in July because July's is a lot more impressive. It's not actually impressive. I didn't read a ton in July, but there's more books there. So in the month of July, I read 9 books, and I will be talking about these books in descending order of what I liked least to my favorite book of the month. Also, isn't my plant really cute here? The first book that I have read here to talk about is Codename Verity, and this was a Prince Honor book, and this is by Elizabeth Wine. I think that's how you say it. I read this because it was required reading for one of my graduate courses over the summer semester. This is a spy novel, and this is about 2 best friends, basically, and it is set during World War II, and one of them is being tortured, and that's kind of where the story starts. So it kind of brings the reader right into the action. And I don't really want to say anything else because it's pretty easy to spoil this book, I think. There was a really interesting plot twist as well, and I would say that if you are interested in spy novels, in World War II, in maybe stories that like center around like, I don't know, torture and like surviving torture or something, like maybe this will be for you. And it's got tons and tons of starred reviews from like really awesome sources like Hornbook and Kirkus and Booklist. However, it's just not something that I would reach for. I tend to not gravitate towards a lot of World War II stories because they make me really sad. I know that they happen. Like, I know that the torture devices used in this book actually happened, and I know that sounds really stupid, but for some reason, it's easier for me to read a horrible scene set in a fantasy world because in the back of my mind, I know it's not probably going down. Like, people are probably not using dragons to burn people to death. However, I know that kerosene was used to torture people, and so reading it, since I have like grandparents and stuff that were in World War II, it makes me really uncomfortable. So it was a personal reason as to why I didn't connect with this book. But I don't think that it was badly written or that there's not a huge place for it. So yeah, if you're interested in any of those things, pick this up. But if you don't like any of those things, stay away from it because it was written so well that it was very hard to get through. So yes, but great book. The next book I read was Flying Witch Volume 1, and this is by Chihiro Ishizuka. And I'm probably getting that name wrong. I really apologize. This was cute. This was about a girl who moves to the city, I think, to live with distant cousins or relatives, and she is a witch in training. And it's just like a slice of life. It would remind you a little bit of Kiki's Delivery Service, except not quite. I mean, it is different, but the premise is it's a slice of life with a witch moving to see her family. I thought it was cute, and I do think that I'm going to continue with the series. I did find it just like a little tiny bit slow. If you like slice of life mangas and you like stories about witches and things, you might really like this. The next book that I read is called Hey Kiddo, and this is by Jarrett Grasaka, and this is a true graphic memoir, and it's based off of Jarrett's childhood, and it's all about like his family and how they struggled with addiction. Specifically, it focuses on his relationship with his grandparents, who tend to rely heavily on alcohol, and then his mother, who kind of gives him up, like her parental rights to her parents, because she is a drug addict. And so it's very like an intensive story, but I thought it was really well done. And it's great too because it's a little bit of a mixed media where the author actually includes like pictures and cards and stuff from growing up. Let me see if I can find one. Okay, so like here's one. This actually includes a letter from his mom and like a picture of the button from his school and things like that. So I thought that was really cool. And the art style in this is so beautiful. It's kind of like a grayscale with pops of orange, and I have not seen that. This again was required reading for my class. It was for my young adults course material class. This has been getting a lot of recognition just because it's so powerful and really well done. And if you're interested in memoirs, I think you're gonna like this. I really enjoyed it, and it was such a fast read. I think I read it during the reading rush, and I loved it so much. Next, I have Orange Volume 1 by Ishigo Takano, and I really enjoyed this a lot. This is a great manga for people who are interested in like friendship dynamic stories. I thought that this was going to be slightly more lighthearted. However, this does center around a pretty significant and very sad event. So basically, this is about a girl named Naho, and Naho is a high school student when she receives a letter addressed to her from her 10 years in the future. And she thinks at first that it's a prank from somebody until the contents of the letter start to slowly come to pass. And the letter is basically telling her that she has to save one of her friends. And so the entire manga is her trying to save one of her friends in her friendship group. So it really strongly focuses on friendship. It focuses on something that's really sad that happens in the book, but it's one of those weird things where it kind of spoils a little bit of the book, so I don't know if I should say what it is. But it is really, really sad, and I did enjoy aspects of this book. I don't think that I was as blown away as like a lot of people who read this manga series. However, I did enjoy it, and I loved the friendship dynamics and aspect of this as well. The next thing that I read was Stardust, and this is by Neil Gaiman. This was a reread for me, and there were so many cool things about this book that I really, really enjoyed rereading for the second time. So the first thing that I would like to say is that this book is hilarious. I feel like Neil Gaiman really does a great job at being funny in this book, which I totally forgot. Let me back up. This is about a boy named Tristan, and Tristan falls in love with a girl named Victoria, and he asks her if she will marry him if he can catch a falling star and give it to her, and she says yes. So he goes across a place called Wall to try to capture a star that is just fallen, you know, like a shooting star. But when he goes over Wall, he kind of realizes that he's in almost like a fairyland, and there's witches and there are pirates, and it's really awesome. It's like an adult fairy tale. I will say that I didn't connect to the romance in this book as much. I don't think that there was a lot of chemistry. However, there is so much chemistry in the movie adaptation of Stardust, and I would say that this is one of the rare times when I prefer the movie over the book, but I still really enjoyed the book as well. Next, I read Long Way Down, and this is by Jason Reynolds. So this again was another book for my young adults course material class. So this is a beautiful, beautiful book. The entire thing is actually written in prose, and it's a poetry book, and it just has such an amazing rhythm. It's really wonderful because it's a little bit of, I don't know how to explain it. It has elements of paranormal in this very, very serious, really intense read. It was so well done. It was wonderful. It's about a boy named Will, and Will's brother has just been shot dead. Will decides that he is going to shoot his brother's murderer. And he's never handled a gun before or anything like that, but he has an idea of who has killed his brother. And so he takes the gun that belonged to his brother and he goes to try to kind of like get justice for his brother. And on the way to shoot this person, Will meets some people, and it's kind of about his interaction with those people and how that shapes what happens next. The most powerful writing that I've read in a really long time, and it was just so good. Let me see if I can find an example. So this says, "I don't know you." That's the start of this, and it's also like the title of this mini verse poem. I don't know you. Don't know your last name. If you got brothers or sisters or mothers or fathers or cousins, that'd be like brothers and sisters, or aunties or uncles, that'd be like mothers and fathers. But if the blood inside you is on the inside of someone else, you never want to see it on the outside of them. The book made me feel things. The next book that I have to show you is the most aesthetically pleasing book I've ever seen, maybe in my entire life, and I'm obsessed with it so much. And it's called The Language of Spells, and this is by Garrett Weir. And look at how just beautiful it is. So this is the cover. It's this gorgeous illustrated style. But then also, when you take off the dust jacket, it's this amazing, I'm a Hufflepuff, so clearly I'm just obsessed with the yellow, but it's this amazing mustard yellow with these stencils around of this dragon. And then you've got this gorgeous spine. And the cool thing about this is every chapter is also illustrated. So you've got these really, really, really beautiful illustrations as well, which I'm just completely obsessed with. So this book has so many things that I think people will really like. It's got dragons, it's got friendship, it's kind of like a historical fiction fantasy, it's got talking cats and spies and just lots and lots of really cool literary elements that I think are kind of popular on BookTube specifically. So I think a lot of people could potentially like this book. I just don't think that a lot of people are reading it and picking it up. So if you have not picked this up and you like middle grade and you like any of those elements, I think you're gonna like this. So this is a middle grade novel, and this focuses on the dynamics between a dragon and his best friend, Maggie. The dragon's name is Grisha, and it's kind of an interesting book in the sense that it doesn't fully follow like a linear plot. Really, it follows this dragon's life. So we see his birth, we see the dynamics between him and his parents. We learn a lot of history of dragons in this book and a lot of their backstory, what they can do, what they can't do. I think this is a great book to read around the fall time, like if you want something that's a slow-paced, cozy book, because there are parts of the story where it's just like a very quiet read. However, I love books like that, and I think I've talked about that before. This is for sure a very quiet, slow-paced, just happy, nice book. It's a very Hufflepuff book in my opinion, and I think it's really, really, really cute. I think if I was going to say anything about this book that maybe I didn't love, it's that I wish that it had focused a little bit more on the relationship between Grisha and Maggie, because I loved their friendship so much, and I don't think that Maggie even comes into the picture until 70 pages in before we even see Maggie, and the book itself is only like, it's less than 300 pages, so that's a really good portion of the book that isn't like about the friendship. It's just about Grisha and like his adventures on his own and things, which are interesting, but I feel like the story really comes together when Maggie is involved, because then they kind of develop this really interesting plot together. They're trying to save other dragons, which isn't a spoiler because it says it on the plot, or on the flap, I mean. So that's the only thing, is I wish that Maggie had come into the picture a little bit sooner. However, it's a charming book. It's really, really sweet. If you like middle grade, I think you're gonna like this. It was definitely one of my favorite books that I read in the month. This has also been getting a ton of really, really great reviews. I didn't realize how many like starred reviews it was getting and how many people really liked it, but a lot of critics are really praising this, and you can see that because the writing is really rich. I feel like it's one of those books that I could see being a classic in like 20 years or something like that. I just think more people need to read it. But I did really, really enjoy it a lot. It's perfect for like a fall, cozy, rainy day by the fireplace. Okay, next I read To Kill a Kingdom, and this is by Alexandra Roselyn. This is a Little Mermaid retelling, except it's very dark. So instead of a mermaid, her name is Lyra, and she is a siren, and she likes to kill princes and steal their hearts. And then this also follows the prince, and his name is Prince Elian. He's actually kind of a darker prince who likes to hunt sirens because of reasons that I can't say. I thought it was really, really great. I like the tension between the two of them. I like that they're both kind of enemies. It's got that enemies to lovers trope that a lot of people really like, including myself. I will say that my only complaint was that it was a little bit slow, kind of towards the middle. Like we did have some slower pacing in it. And then also, this is like a personal thing, but I thought that Prince Elian was hard to like at times because I didn't think that he was the nicest to Lyra. Like, he doesn't know that she's a siren, and he's still not like the nicest to her. And so I was like, Prince Elian, like, you're not really the one for me, but it fits the story really, really well. So if you're interested in like a dark retelling of The Little Mermaid, I think you're gonna like this. Alexandra's writing is just really, really, really great, and I highly recommend it actually, especially if you're interested in like that hate to love trope. She does a really, really great job in this book. And then the last book that I have here for July is my favorite book of the month, and that is Red, White, and Royal Blue, and this is by Casey McQuiston. I loved it so much. Oh my gosh. So this is a new adult, so it's not young adult. Most of the books, in fact, all of the books except for Stardust that I've talked about, they've all been either YA or middle grade, but this is new adult, and the writing in it, like the sexy times, are pretty sexy. So take that with a grain of salt going into this book. I just want you to like be aware of it, that it is a little bit graphic, but it was really good. So this book follows Alex, who is the son of the United States president, who is a woman from Texas. And Alex is kind of like this slightly cocky, very smart, and attractive guy who hates the Prince of England. And the Prince of England's name is Henry. So again, it's like that hate to love trope. But I mean, they end up getting together, and it's really hot. There's so much more to this story than just they get together and that's it. Like, they have to face so many different problems and adversities and just like lots and lots of things. I think it's the best romance that I've read this year, maybe. It felt healthy, but it felt realistic. Like, their problems felt realistic, their communication issues felt realistic. Everything in it felt really good, but it also felt fairly healthy. One thing that I don't really like in a lot of romance books is I feel like sometimes when an author is trying to portray like a hate to love or a very intense, passionate romance, there's a really fine line between making it really angsty and powerful for the audience and making it kind of unhealthy, if that makes any sense. I've read plenty of romances between characters where I'm like, this seems borderline obsessive, or this doesn't seem like a great relationship dynamic, but I thought that this was just really well done. I thought Casey McQuiston just like killed it. I want to read every single book from her. I'm so excited. I love this book. I think everybody should read this. It was sexy and romantic and just really wonderful. It was also hilarious. I thought it was so funny that I was laughing out loud at so many parts. And that's so important in literature. It's something that I can't really do as well when I'm writing, although I do try to write things that are funny, but I really appreciate it when authors can make me laugh. This was hilarious. This was so funny, brightened my day, just was wonderful. It was wonderful. It was 5 stars, all the stars, everything. It was really great. I loved it. I loved it so much. So those are all the books that I read in July. Now we will go on to the very short list for August. Let's start with the first book that I did not finish, and that is City of Brass, and this is by S.A. Chakraborty. I am reading this with a bunch of my friends who have all finished the book by now, and I knew this would happen. I knew I would be the only person who had not finished the book. I think maybe I'm not the only person who hasn't finished the book, but I know that most of them have, which, sorry. I actually started reading this in July, did not finish it, and then I read a lot more in August, but I still have not finished it. I have this much left. I'm so close. but I still haven't finished it. This is a really, really great book. It's kind of like historical fiction meets epic fantasy, which is kind of a weird combination, but it's really, really great. That's what it reads like anyways. This follows a girl named Nari, and Nari kind of swindles people into believing that she is healing them. She doesn't think that she's healing them at all. She thinks that she's like faking it, sort of. That's how she makes her living, and she, I believe, is living in Cairo. One day she accidentally summons a genie, and she's like, what the heck is even happening? I didn't know you guys existed. And it kind of like goes off from there. It follows this really epic tale of her trying to figure out her past and who she really is, and why can she summon a genie, and what are genies, and like, does she have a destiny? It's really, really great. There's a romance in here, there's adventure, there's magic. It's really wonderful. Fans of 1001 Arabian Nights are going to love this because I love that book and I am loving this book so much. Next, I read Heartstopper Volume 2. I read the first volume before and I loved it. The most Hufflepuff, wonderful, beautiful story in the world. I'm so sad that I finished this because now I have to wait for volume 3 and I just want to read it like immediately right now. I won't tell you what volume 2 is about just because I don't want to spoil volume 1, but volume 1 is about Charlie and Nick, and they become best friends, and then they slowly start to develop feelings for each other, and it's like a friendship to love dynamic, which I think is a trope that isn't explored nearly enough. I actually happen to love that trope a lot. I think it's really, really sweet, and it's, I think, one of the most relatable tropes for me personally, like in real life. So I like reading it in books, and it's just, it's so sweet. It's such a great book. I loved it so much. This is just the continuation of what happens in that volume, and I would say that I preferred the first volume. However, this was really, really sweet too, and it has a lot of really sweet moments that just like melted my heart so much, and I loved it. I love this series. I think it's so sweet. Okay, next, I read the last volume of Orange, so we completed the series because I did the first one in July and then the second one in August, and I thought it was a really great continuation. The only thing that I would say about this that I didn't 100% love is that the ending isn't conclusive, and I wish that the ending had been conclusive because I want to know like how Ishigo Takano imagined it would end. Like, I'm very interested actually, but we don't really get to find out. And then the last book that I read this month was The Promised Neverland Volume 1, and this was scary. I was not expecting that. Look at this cover. Like, look at how cheerful this is. They're all smiling, they're all happy. It looks like they're going off on like a fun kid adventure. No, it's really scary. It's really, really scary. This is about 3 orphans, Emma, Norman, and Ray, who all live at this orphanage, and they are the brightest orphans at this orphanage, and they're all really, really close to all of the other orphans. It's kind of like a family dynamic, even though none of them are related, and they love their caretaker. They call her Mom. And then one day, something very gruesome happens, and it goes down, basically. And I don't really know how else to talk about this book. I'm not gonna spoil the plot or the story, the ending, any of that stuff, but it's just not on the back of this flap. It's on the back of the second volume. However, if you just want to go into this completely blind, mute me until I put the book down, okay? So like, I'm not gonna spoil anything of the plot as far as the ending, but I am gonna say why this was so dark. And if you don't want to know, just, I would mute me until I put the book down. They find out that this orphanage is a farm, and they are the things that are being farmed. Apparently, they are being harvested for their brains 2 demons. Oh my gosh, I was not expecting that at all. I mean, it got dark real quick. I was scared. This might be a great book to read around Halloween. I don't know. I am gonna continue just because I did buy the other 2 volumes. Like, so there's a lot of volumes, but I bought up to volume 3, I think. So I am going to read all of them that I bought, and I did enjoy it. it's just really dark. Well, that is it for all of the books that I've read in August and July. Again, August is not very impressive, but I'm hoping September is the one. I usually get really excited for September and October because they are my fall months, so usually I have a really nice, cool, spooky TBR going on, and I don't know, there's something about fall that just makes me want to read more and like stay in even more than regular, which I never want to leave my house, but still. Thank you guys so much for watching. Did you read any books this August that are your absolute faves that you think I will like? If you did, please let me know in the comments down below. Thank you again so much, you guys, for watching and supporting me. I love you so much. I hope you have a wonderful day. And until next time, book lovers, keep your head in the clouds and your heart in a book, and I will talk to you later. Bye!